Hello students, welcome to Recitals in Depth. Herein, we will cover the International Relations October 2024 current affairs topics in detail. The broader themes which we are going to cover are as follows: defense modernization, geopolitics in Indian Ocean, trade deals with important nations, neighborhood issues and agreements, crisis in the Middle East, diplomatic issues. Visit of Spanish Prime Minister to India. Recently, the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez visited India. He visited the state of Gujarat. Now, this visit is significant because it happens after 18 years. That is, the last time a Spanish Prime Minister visited India was 18 years back. This is also significant because the last time Prime Minister Modi visited Spain was in 2017. Another reason for the significance of this visit is because of the defense modernization that this visit entails. Along with it, it is also enhancing the domestic production capability of India defense program. So let us delve into this issue and see what it is about. Now, the visit to Vadodara. Let us see what were the key highlights of this visit of the Spanish Prime Minister. The first and foremost is the inauguration of final assembly line plant of C-295. What is C-295? It is an aircraft which can be classified in the category of medium lift. Medium lift meaning that it would be categorized with respect to the payload it can take, right? And the purpose of such kind of aircraft is particularly with respect to transport. Transport whether with respect to the troops or whether with respect to the cargo, right? Now this inauguration is particularly significant. Why? Because this is the first time a private company that is based out of India is going to manufacture this along with a globally recognized company. Right? So, first time this is happening. So, the private company goes by the name Tata Advanced System Limited. Right? You must have heard about this. And along with Airbus. So, these companies in partnership are going to develop C-295, which is going to replace the legacy fleet of Indian Air Force, which goes by the name Avro. This is the name of the fleet that Indian Air Force currently has so that it can transport personals, it can transport essential supplies and so on, right? And we are going to replace this fleet with C-295. And for this, we are also going for production in the domestic domain. That is, our own private company is going forward with the production and it is going to be happening through a assembly line plant that is to be based in Vadodara, right? So this becomes very significant because it is happening with the help of Spain. So with respect to Spain, we entered into a contract and this contract had the value of $2.5 billion, right? This is a huge amount of money and we have invested it in the right direction. So according to this, 56 such aircraft, that is C-295, are to be delivered to India. Now there is a split. Out of these 56, the first 16 are to be delivered by Spain, right? And the rest of the 40 have to be developed in the assembly line plant of Vadodara itself, right? So the first time a made in India aircraft, that is by a private company, is expected to be delivered by 2026, right? And rest of the deliveries of all the 40, that is apart from the 16 that were to be delivered by Spain, this 40 is expected to be delivered by 2031. Right? So this shows that we are moving towards the objective of creating an industrial ecosystem, even with respect to enhancing our capabilities when it comes to defense production. Right? It also shows that we are also going forward with defense modernization and trusting our private players to deliver on the same. So the next question that arises in our mind is, why should we go forward and replace the Avro fleet? This Avro fleet has served us for a very long time, and it has served and utilized its capabilities in the Indian Air Force. Now, why should we go forward with the C-295 aircraft? So for this, we must understand what is the purpose of such kind of a replacement, right? So the first thing is modernization. That is, we want to have a technology, we want to have an aircraft which is built on a better design and addresses the problem of modern world. Something that the design of Avro fleet might be unable to do, right? The second thing is domestic production. Since in the last slide, I told you that this would be the first time when a private company is involved in a global company partnership to produce defense aircrafts. Therefore, we are also amping up our domestic production. That is, we are enhancing our production related capabilities in the defense equipments and products as well, right? So this seems to be the two dual purpose for replacing the Avro fleet, right? Now we move on to the next part where we ask, what is the need for modernization? Why should we even have modernization? So first, the obvious choice, because Avro fleet is aging and there is design obsolescence. What this means is the design of Avro fleet is outdated, and with respect to obsolescence, it means that even the components, even if we try to continue with the Avro fleet, it means that we should always have the source of the components that are required to manufacture or repair the Avro fleet, right? So since every country is also trying to move towards modernization, the components would be very hard to source, and this would also be an investment that would be difficult to continue. So we are better off investing in the better technology that is giving through the C-295 aircraft. The second thing is enhanced capabilities of C-295. This particularly points to the multi-mission role that a C-295 aircraft can have. While the mission mode of Avro fleet was limited only to the transport of troop and cargoes, however, C-295 goes a step beyond and also helps in the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations as well. It also helps in the medical evacuation in cases of emergency. It also helps where there are conflict prone areas, right? So there is enhanced capability of the new aircraft that we are trying to have for our Indian Air Force. Third thing is operational costs and maintenance. Now, since these fleet have been in use for a very long time, it means that they require greater amount of maintenance, and a cost for operating them is also very high, right? This means that they spend more of their time in repair than being in air, right? This means that the repair time is much more than the air time of such fleet. So it makes good amount of sense that we move towards the C295 and replace the Avro fleet that is existing, right? Now, what are the expectations that we have? So the primary would be that it should at least do the functions of the previous fleet, that is, it should be there for troop, cargo, transport. Secondly, it should also help us in human assistance and disaster relief operations. Then the expectation is also that it should carry out special forces operations. So these are some of the expectations that we have from the C295 aircraft. Now, the general curiosity also helps us to come to a question where we want to analyze the comparative features between C295 and the Avro HS 748, right? So you can draw these three columns and I would be stating the advantages. This I will leave for you as a homework, right? So this sheet can be created. So first point of comparison is with respect to the category, okay? So C295 can be categorized as medium lift, while Avro HS 748 is light lift, right? This means that the advantage with respect to carrying the payload is much higher in C295. You can jot it down in the advantages part, right? Then the payload capacity. So with respect to C295, the feature is that it can carry 9 tons, while Avro is around 5 to 6 tons, right? So this is also depicting what kind of essential supplies, for example, where there is a disaster relief operation going on, whether there is search and rescue operations going on, whether there is medical evacuation emergencies, then such kind of load will enhance and help us to have fewer trips of this aircraft. Okay, this will enhance the efficiency and also maintain the safety that is being required in such kind of operations, right? With respect to passenger capacity, how do these two aircrafts compare? So with respect to C295, the passenger capacity is 71 troops. That is 71 personnels can be boarded on C295. The capacity of passengers in this aircraft is as such. For Avro, it is close to 40. This means that again the efficiency of C295 with respect to transporting the personnels in the conflict zone, or whether with respect to medical evacuation, all those things is much more. That is more personnels per trip. Okay, so this is again another advantage of C295. Then with respect to range, so how far can C295 travel and how far can Avro HS 748 can travel? So on an average it would be 2000 to 2500 kilometers, right? With respect to Avro, it is close to 1700 kilometers. This again tells us that in one single trip there could be a radius of 2000 kilometers that can be potentially covered by C295, and this is a limitation on the previous fleet of Avro, right? So even long range operations can be taken, right? So it enhances our coverage, even if there is a requirement of a place where there is long distance required and that aircraft has to cover it, then it would be better that you go for C295. Then with mission versatility, which means that how missions and different kind of missions can be carried out by C-295 and what kind of missions can be carried out by Avro. So this is mainly with respect to transport of troops and transport of cargo. While here, as we had talked before, it can be multi-role missions. Okay. Within this aircraft, you can also have stretchers, you can also have essential supplies, you can also transport passengers, and all kinds of things, all kinds of missions can be adhered to when we are utilizing C-295 aircraft, right? Then comes interoperability. Now with respect to Avro, it is limited. When we talk about interoperability, what I mean is that whether it can be used in conjunction with our allies, right? So a lot of countries have moved on to this C-295 aircraft, and therefore if we want to carry out an operation along with our allies, then it is made possible by C-295. But it is quite limited with Avro. Okay, it is limited to Indian use. This means that it may be somewhat impossible to collaborate with the allies and form a search and rescue operation in some other country or some other nation, right? So you write down the advantages here and prepare the sheet in a 3-column structure like this, and it will be very easy for you to remember the comparative analysis between C-295 and Avro. Now it is being said that C-295 is going to be a game changer for India. So what are the reasons for that? The first reason is because it boosts Indian defense tactically. Okay, we just had the comparison with Avro, the previous fleet that we had, and one more difference that you will have here is that it has a rear ramp, which is particularly important for loading and unloading heavy defense related equipments or essential supplies as well, right? So this is an improvement. The second thing that is important is with respect to its takeoff. So it has stall capabilities. Stall capabilities meaning short takeoffs and landings, right? What this means is that even when the ground is unprepared, or even if it is soft, it is not as hard as it is required for an aircraft to fly off, then also C-295 can be used because it has such kind of capabilities. This is particularly important in crucial areas like line of actual control. For example, in areas where we have mountainous regions, okay, there also C-295 can be very well used. Okay, so it boosts our in defense tactically, right? Another importance is with respect to low level flight characteristics, right? This aircraft can fly at a very small altitude from the ground also, right? So it can be very well used in the covert operations of the Indian Air Force as well, right? So this is the reason for boosting our defense systems. Then it provides a boost to Make in India, right? With respect to having the first private company produce and have an assembly line in India itself and produce C-295 aircrafts, it means that we are going forward even with respect to defense production to Make in India, right? So we have 40 aircrafts that are in line to be produced on the Indian soil itself, right? The third thing is job creation. Job creation, this kind of a production line is expected to create direct jobs nearly 3,000 in number and indirectly 15,000 jobs. Along with it, there will be some activities which would be for serving the primary objective of having the assembly line of aircraft. Okay, so it will also give a boost to the ancillary sector. right? Apart from this, there is creation of ecosystem, right? Ecosystem, that is industrial ecosystem, and that is going to enhance the capabilities of defense related production in India, right? Then one very important reason for it being a game changer is that it is a step towards the aviation export, right? Now C-295 aircraft is not only being inducted for our domestic purposes, but we also have a vision for its future. That is one, it is utilizing its capabilities, and the other is to also export it to the nations who are in need of such aircrafts, right? So it is both with respect to domestic purposes as well as exporting to other nations, right? So these are the multiple objectives that are being adhered to by just opening a assembly line plant for C-295 aircraft in Vadodara in Gujarat, right? So that is why it is being touted as a game changer for India. Now that we have gone through the key highlight of the visit, that is for C-295 aircraft, let us also understand the bilateral relations between India and Spain. Starting with economic relations, Spain is the 6th largest trading partner of India in European Union, right? So this makes it important for us to deal with Spain individually as well as with respect to European Union, okay? Then when it comes to trade, we have a trade of $8.25 billion, okay? Amongst this, from India to Spain, that is exports from India to Spain is nearly about $6.33 billion, and the exports from Spain to India is $1.92 billion, right? So these are the trade dynamics, and mostly when we are exporting from India to Spain, it is mainly with respect to chemicals or mineral fuels. With respect to Spain, it is mainly in the form of technology transfer, right? So these are the trade dynamics. The second would be analyzing the foreign direct investments, okay? With respect to Spanish investments in India, between 2000 to 23, there has been investment of $3.94 billion by Spanish companies in India. And you would be surprised to know that there are 280 Spanish companies that are operating on the Indian soil. What about the foreign direct investments from India to Spain? So we have invested $900 million, and our companies, 80 companies, are operating on the Spanish soil, right? These are mainly in the domain of information technology, mainly in the domains of pharmaceuticals. With respect to softwares, these companies pertain to these domains, right? So this is the FDI structure, right? So this is the economic relation that we have with Spain. One more important thing is that last year we also celebrated the Golden Jubilee of economic cooperation that goes by the name JCEC between India and Spain. Now this is important economic framework that was launched in 1972, okay? And there have been multiple visits even by the high dignitaries, so that these kind of frameworks can further be enhanced, and memorandum of understanding in various fields can also be included, okay? So this is with respect to economic relations between India and Spain. Let us move forward. Now with respect to strategic significance and cooperation, okay? One is in the domain of defense. So we have this C-295, and Spain has been a partner who has also tried to modernize our defense systems from long time, right? Whether it is with respect to the aerospace industries or developing the capabilities in the naval domain, Okay. Apart from this, Spain and India also recognize the growing threats of terrorism in the world, right? And they also have convergence when it comes to countering terrorism. One more important global issue that they have convergence in is the climate change, right? So Spain has a lot of technologies that are useful in the renewable energy sector. And India has an objective within its Panchamrita goals to adhere to those technologies and be fossil free or have carbon emissions or be carbon neutral by the year of 2070. So this is also a potential area of technology transfer that India and Spain would look forward to and collaborate on, right? Then Indian diaspora. Now Indian diaspora in Spain is not that huge. However, just for the sake of quoting in our answers, we can write this fact that close to 55,000 Indian people or persons of Indian origin reside in the country of Spain, right? So this was with respect to the India and Spain bilateral relation. We will also see a PYQ that has been asked. So this was the main PYQ that was asked. How is S-400 air defense system technically superior to any other system presently available in the world? So this was for 10 marks and 150 words. So you can see that such kind of a development is very important and it can be a potential question in your mains paper as well, right? So that is the reason that I presented that comparative analysis and you should write it in your notes as well. UK hands over Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Now Chagos Island was a part of Mauritius, that is the crown colony of British Empire. Okay, so it was there with Mauritius, and later on when from 1815 onwards to 1968 was when Mauritius gained independence. So that is when the UK decided that okay, Chagos Island should be separated from Mauritius and Mauritius should be given independence apart from Chagos itself, right? So the sovereignty claim over Chagos Island by Mauritius was declined. Okay, it was also something that was decided as a precondition to the independence of Mauritius itself, right? So naturally there was a dispute. This means that UK retained its control over these islands. Okay, so this issue is about that particular dispute, and let us delve into this issue further. So what were the key highlights of the treaty that was signed between the United Kingdom and Mauritius? The first is with respect to the sovereignty rights. Okay, so United Kingdom has said that okay, Mauritius can have Chagos Islands. However, there is one important thing or one island that within the Chagos Island that they cannot have, and that is by the name of Diego Garcia. Okay, this island is in the southern part of Chagos Islands. Okay, this is particularly important for United Kingdom because it was signed in a treaty along with the United States to be set up as a military base. This was important for conducting various important operations of the United States. Okay, so this was something that was excluded from the sovereignty rights of Mauritius when it comes to ceding claims of Chagos Islands. Okay, this particular island was kept out of it. Then there was resettlement program. Okay, so when Chagos Islands were taken by the United Kingdom, they were detached from Mauritius and taken over by United Kingdom. Therefore, there had to be evacuation of the inhabiting Chagosians. Okay, so now within this treaty, the United Kingdom has said that Mauritius can go forward and resettle their own population there. Okay, so these population were particularly going towards countries like Mauritius, UK, Seychelles. Okay, apart from this, United Kingdom has also offered a trust fund for the descendants of the displaced Chagosians. Okay, because these Chagosians have also faced ill treatment in the adopted countries. They have also faced problems of having an appropriate livelihood opportunity. They have failed to have income generating livelihood, and therefore such kind of a trust fund is also being offered by the United Kingdom. Okay. Apart from this, the President of the United States has termed this agreement as a historic agreement. The reason being that he has said that through this kind of agreement, we realize that the diplomacy and partnership between different countries, and through dialogues and various kind of channels, long drawn historic challenges can also be dealt with peacefully. And that is the reason that he has called this agreement historic. This is by the POTUS, that is President of the United States. Now, to understand this issue in further depth, let us also see what are these Chagos Islands and where are they located. First is with respect to its geographical location. So you can see this is the coast of Africa. Okay, this is Mauritius and these are the Chagos Islands. If you see the zoomed up map of Chagos Islands, you will find this small island here, that is by the name of Diego Garcia. In all, there are 58 islands of Chagos Islands, right? So this is a geographical location that is quite strategically placed, right? Then let us also understand the colonial history of Chagos. The first, and it can be something that we can understand from our own colonial history as well, from what kind of freedom struggle that we had because of the various European powers that had come to our country. Okay, so first were the Portuguese who visited these islands. They were the first ones to discover these islands in the 16th century. Okay, they did not do much, they were just mapping and naming a few islands here and there. Okay, then came the Dutch. The Dutch were not looking for settling in these islands and they were just there for some exploration. Okay. Then came the French. Okay. So French were the people who finally wanted to settle here. Okay. And for this, they also had brought enslaved laborers or workers from other countries. Countries like Mozambique, Madagascar. These countries they had brought forward to work on their coconut plantations in these islands. Okay, so this was occupied by the French. Okay, after the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte and in 1815, it was ceded, it was given to the British. And from 1815 onwards, the British were the ones who were occupying these islands, right? Then, now that we have seen the colonial history of Chagos, let us also see the significance. One is with respect to the location. Okay, it is a location which is, as we said, strategically placed. Why? Because major shipping routes can be seen from this place. Okay, they also require such kind of monitoring. Okay, this is also an island, a set of islands which are important to provide and become a net security provider with respect to Indian Ocean, right? So definitely these are very strategically placed. So this is a very important significance. Second is US, UK military base. Now, as I said before, United Kingdom had come into a treaty with the United States that they had leased these islands to the United States for some number of years. Okay, and this had led to US developing its military capabilities so that it can deploy its troops even in the other countries. Okay, so a lot many crisis has been operated or the crisis has been averted by the United States troops being here. For example, the Middle East, for example, the war in Afghanistan, a lot of these were sourced from the military base within these islands, right? The critics have also said that there might be CIA interrogations of the suspected terrorist within these bases, right? So this is of very important significance for the United States as well as United Kingdom, right? Now let us understand what the dispute is. It is mainly through the chronology that we would be able to understand. Let us understand the background first. In 1965, Mauritius started demanding independence from its colonial ruler. Okay. So what did UK did? UK went forward and said, okay, we will give you your own country, we will give independence to you. However, there has to be a certain detachment. That is, there has to be certain islands that would continue to be within the control of the crown. And this is something that you will have to deal with. And Mauritius and Chagos were detached. Okay. So this was a precondition to Mauritius independence. Okay. So you could call it as a detachment grant. That is, UK gave a grant to Mauritius after its independence for parting ways with the Chagos Islands, which was earlier a part of this colony. Okay. And Chagos Islands were termed to be British Indian Ocean territories. Okay. Along with the detachment grant of £3 million. Right. Now Mauritius has gained independence. It was being ruled by the Britishers from 1815 onwards up till 1968, and Chagos Island was continued to be ruled by the United Kingdom. Okay. So between 1965 to 1973, a mass evacuation started taking place within the Chagos Islands. This was particularly because of the treaty between United States and United Kingdom for setting up a military base within these islands, right? And therefore what it resulted in was mass evacuations or forced evacuations. Okay. Now to appear to the human rights groups as someone who is benevolent, they had said, United Kingdom has said that such kind of an evacuation was done because the coconut plantations, the economy that was set on coconut plantations by the French power was something that was not working, and therefore these people must be evacuated and moved to a place where there are much more remunerative livelihood opportunities. Okay, so these people were displaced and mainly they went to Mauritius, as I said before, Seychelles, and some even went to the United Kingdom. Okay. So obviously the evacuated population was further distressed. Now the Chagos Island dispute further continues, wherein now Mauritius says that okay, now that you have said that you are already bound by a treaty with US, then we can have a proposal in which you can increase the quota norms for the exports with respect to US and Mauritius. Okay, this can be increased so that there is boost in the economy of Mauritius. UK rejected this. UK said that US cannot be involved in any treaty along when such kind of an arrangement is taken place between UK and Mauritius, right? Then there was another issue that led to such kind of a dispute and a lot of bitterness within the population that was earlier inhabiting Chagos Islands. Okay, there was forced depopulation of Chagosians. Okay, so this had resulted them into moving to various other places. Mauritius, Seychelles, UK again, okay, in search of better livelihood opportunities, okay, where they were not treated well, where their income opportunities were very, very limited. Okay, they also had the distress of moving from a land that they considered to be their own. They considered themselves to be the indigenous population of the Chagos Islands. Okay, although they were enslaved, a lot of them were enslaved laborers who had been brought from various other countries, but through a time that they had spent on those islands, they considered themselves to be indigenous population, right? And the reason behind their depopulation was nothing but US-UK military base that had to be set up and the strategic location of the Chagos Islands in Indian Ocean. Now, legal action taken by Mauritius. Mauritius wanted to claim its sovereignty back with respect to the Chagos Islands and including the Diego Garcia, right? So there was a legal action that was taken and they took UK to PCA, that is Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. Okay, they said that such kind of a sovereignty that was taken over by UK was something in violation of the international laws, right? And PCA's 2015 ruling came against UK and it said that such kind of sovereignty related issues raised by Mauritius are right, and therefore the United Kingdom should return these islands to Mauritius. Okay, it ruled that they are in violation of United Nations Convention on Laws of Sea, right? So according to this, they must give their islands back to Mauritius, right? Apart from that, there was United Nations General Assembly vote in 2019, and this vote led to the countries who had said that globally the colonialism has ended and therefore there should be no such area which should be not given back to the original inhabitants, right? The colonial powers should not be led to rule further, right? So even the United Nations General Assembly vote pointed towards United Kingdom being pressed on to give back these islands to the Mauritius nation. Now, as the dispute continued with respect to international court justice, the case was also taken up and therefore Mauritius argued that it was coerced at the time of its independence to give up the Chagos Islands. Okay, so ICJ had further ruled that UK should hand over these territories back to Mauritius. However, UK again denied these kind of claims and said that ICJ did not have jurisdiction in this manner. Okay, so this was something that was at loggerheads between UK and Mauritius. Even United Nations General Assembly has said so. The PCA had ruled in favor of Mauritius. ICJ ruling is also in favor of Mauritius. Okay, then came the talks between Mauritius government and UK government. Okay, and herein they have also expressed their concerns over such kind of a transfer of sovereignty rights to Mauritius. The reason is Mauritius is an ally of China. Okay, it has friendly relations with China, and particularly when we are talking about such a strategic location and especially with respect to the military base that is placed in Diego Garcia, there are fears with respect to United Kingdom and United States that if the sovereignty rights are given back to Mauritius, then it might result into a strategic problem and further enhance their threat with respect to the Indian Ocean region. Okay, so this is an issue that UK is seen to be fearful about. Okay, so even going further, it has expressed this concern in this treaty in the form by saying that okay, you can take the Chagos Islands but leave Diego Garcia for us because that is where we are operating from. Okay, so this is the dispute, and further Diego Garcia should also be under the dispute, and they are also, Mauritius is also further claiming to have rights over those islands as well. Okay, so the dispute will continue. Now, what is the role of India in all of this? Okay, so India supports the claims of Mauritius. Okay, India has been a victim of colonial power herself, and therefore it can feel the need of having their territory back as the Mauritius does. Okay, so within the vote also they have given support to such kind of claims of Mauritius, right? However, India also has a concern, the same concern that United Kingdom and United States has, that is China's assertiveness within this territory, that is with respect to the geostrategic location, whether in the Indian Ocean. Okay, so this is some issue that is very important when it comes to the strategy and the diplomacy that we must have with the nation. India-Canada diplomatic escalation over Nijjar killing case. Okay, so this issue has been discussed in the previous recitals as well, and this is just another event in which we see an escalation of the diplomatic talks between India and Canada. Okay, now this is particularly important because India and Canada are caught in a tit for tat kind of an action, where one is expelling the diplomats of the other country, while the other one is doing the same for the others. Okay, for this it is very important to understand the background of the story which it is set in. So let us delve into this issue. So what has happened? There has been expulsion of 6 Canadian diplomats, including the acting High Commissioner from India, right? As well as there has been withdrawal by India herself of its own High Commissioner and other diplomats from the Canadian Embassy, right? This is something that has happened. Let us understand the background of this story. So let us try to understand the background of this escalation of diplomatic talks between India and Canada. Now, the case that I am going to tell you is important for your understanding. However, this is not something that you can write in your mains paper. Okay, it is just important for you to understand these points. Okay, okay. So first of all, there is a person by the name Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He goes to Canadian authorities and in 1997 claims that there has been atrocities towards him in Punjab, and therefore he is seeking asylum in Canada. Canadian authorities find out that these allegations are misplaced, and therefore they reject his claim to citizenship in Canada. Okay, there was rejection. Now, in what years followed, it is said that Hardeep Singh Nijjar kept on trying various methods to gain the citizenship of Canada. Okay, and he was successful in doing so. In 2001, he got that citizenship. Now, this is one question that we ask and Canadian authorities are not able to answer, that on what basis was this citizenship given to Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Okay, in what years that followed, he met Jagtar Singh Tara. Okay, now a brief introduction about this person. Jagtar Singh Tara was the person who was responsible for the assassination of Punjab CM in 1995. Okay, and he had been imprisoned. However, he escaped the prison and later went on into Pakistan and founded what is known as Khalistan Tiger Force. Okay, now Hardeep Singh Nijjar came into contact with him. Hardeep Singh Nijjar had already been within the Canadian grounds. He had been getting involved and improving his network of businesses and also being involved in various pro-Khalistani groups. And this was something that was quite welcoming for Hardeep Singh Nijjar, right? Now Pakistan, because of its enmity with India, what it will do? The ISI, that is the intelligence agency of Pakistan, it provided for funds, training, okay, all of which was very necessary for both Hardeep Singh Nijjar and the Khalistani Tiger Force to create anti-India sentiments, okay, and go forward with their approach of pro-Khalistan, right? Okay. Then came 2007, where this kind of an ability by Hardeep Singh Nijjar was shown. Okay, in 2007, they carried out a bomb blast, that is in a Ludhiana theatre. Okay, so there was bomb blast. Okay, and Hardeep Singh Nijjar was designated as a Khalistani separatist. Okay, in the years that followed, even with respect to Interpol, it was said that he was given a red notice. Red notice given by Interpol means that the intelligence authorities and the agencies that maintain law and order in a place are required to arrest this person. Okay, so red corner notice was given to this person, that is Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Okay, apart from that, in 2015 itself, he had started heading the Khalistani Tiger Force, that was pro-Khalistan and was also generating anti-India sentiments, right? Then coming to 2020, he again collaborated with what was the leader's name as Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Okay, he was standing for Sikhs for Justice. Okay, Sikhs for Justice was a referendum in 2020. They had a referendum in which they wanted the population, the global population to vote, or the global Sikh population to vote whether they want Khalistan or not. Okay, this was something that was taken very seriously by Indian authorities. Okay, and even on suggestions by the intelligence agencies of Indian authorities, Canadians did not, the Canada authority did not take any kind of steps. Okay, and then comes his killing in 2023 July. Okay, so now he was killed, and Canada, and particularly the leader Justin Trudeau has said within the Parliament, within House of Commons, he has said that this seems to be the work of the Indian agents. Okay, however, it has been commonly known that there are various kind of groups that are operating out of Canada, and these are some things that are not being stopped by the Canadian government, and this could also be a result of inter-gang rivalry. So it is also being said that the claims of Justin Trudeau is absurd. India has dismissed by saying that what he is saying is absurd, and therefore what has it resulted in? Expelling diplomats in a tit for tat moves, which the Canada means throwing out India's top intelligence officer in the country while India expelled its Canadian counterpart. Okay, so this kind of a tit for tat move is going on between India and Canada. Canadian intelligence agencies have been unable to provide any kind of evidence that Indian agents were at work when the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar took place, right? And such a claim from the top leader of the country, it becomes very absurd, and it points to the direction which may be that he is motivated by domestic politics in issuing such kind of a statement. So this is the background of the whole case. Okay, so these are the things, one or two names you can remember just to enhance your understanding, but these are not the points that you might be able to write. Okay, so given the diplomatic escalation, there are also challenges in India-Canada relations. The first is separatist Khalistani groups. Okay, so Canada is known to provide safe havens to the Khalistani groups. Okay, the ones who want Khalistan for themselves, and therefore they pose a threat to sovereignty of India. Okay, this is case number 1. Okay, the reason behind it can be said that he wants to please the Sikh diaspora from India. Right? That is because there are a number of representatives within his party as well who belong to the Sikh community, and therefore he does not want to arouse any kind of negative sentiments because of his political ambitions, right? Apart from this, he has also known to collaborate with Jagmeet Jimmy Dhaliwal, who is the New Democratic Party leader. Okay, so he is also of Sikh community, and therefore he might be Justin Trudeau might be trying to please these leaders to attain his own political ambitions, right? That is winning in the domestic politics. Then they are very slow to act, particularly when there was glorification of assassination of the former Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. Okay, so it was said to be done by pro-Khalistani groups. Okay, so they took out a parade in which such a float was glorified. That is, the assassination of former Indian Prime Minister was being glorified, and Canadian authorities were not very keen to act on it for a substantial amount of time, right? Then other irritants are, they would make comments on farmer protests. Okay, there is backlash against people from Indian origin. So these are some other irritants, and that pose a challenge with respect to India-Canada relationship. Now, with respect to the diplomatic escalations and also the challenges that are there within India-Canada relationship, we should also look at the positive side of India-Canada relations. Okay, so the background is they started their diplomatic engagement in the year of independence of India itself, that is in 1947. Okay, and post the visit of the Prime Minister of India in 2015, this was elevated to strategic partnership. Right? So this means that both of these countries need to respect the relationship that they have fostered so far. Right? Apart from this, there are commercial relations. Okay? So with respect to trade, there is close to 8 billion worth of trade. $4.11 billion is for trade from, that is exports from India to Canada, and $4.05 billion is the trade from Canada, that is imports by India. Right? Then when it comes to negotiations, okay, this is early progress trade agreement negotiations. So these negotiations were earlier started so that some amount of free trade agreements can be signed between the two countries. However, since the killing has taken place, and in September 2023, when Justin Trudeau had said that in a statement in House of Commons that we cannot let Indian agents or any kind of other agents to be operating on the Canadian soil, that is when these negotiations were stopped. And the further progress is yet to be seen. Okay. Now, with respect to nuclear cooperation, Canada was the first one to engage with us. However, this also fell down, it declined post Smiling Buddha. Right? Then people to people, what Indian diaspora is there? So there is close to 1.6 million population that is already residing in Canada. Okay, that is from Indian origin. That includes the persons of Indian origins as well as the NRIs. Okay, and this constitute nearly about 4% of the total population. Even with respect to political representation, there is substantial number. There are close to 22 member of parliament within the political structure of Canada, right? So this means that there is significant amount of fields that India and Canada can collaborate on, and they must not let go of that site. Okay, and particularly the onus is on Canada as a nation itself, who wants to protect, who wants to ensure that they respect the sovereignty, and any kind of threat to sovereignty of any other nation should also be thwarted by adequate efforts. The onus or the ball is in the Canadian government's court. Israel launches retaliatory strikes on military targets in Iran. Now, we have been studying about Israel-Palestine issue for a long time. It has been covered in various issues of recitals. I would suggest that you go on and read those issues and also watch the various videos that have been shared by me, so that you can get a hold of this whole issue and what has been happening till now. Okay, so this is another event that has happened within this domain. Okay, so let us understand and delve into this issue. Now, the nature of attack by Israel on Iran is said to be precise and targeted. Okay, that is, they do not want to inflict a huge all-out damage towards Iran. Okay, so it is quite measured in that approach. Okay, so I have maintained a sequence of events so that it is easier for you to follow about what has happened till now. Okay, this you can refer to in the previous issues of recitals as well. Okay, so October 7, 2023, Hamas, that are the militant groups in Palestine, they attack Israel. Okay, it leads to multiple Israeli soldiers being killed, and civilians also were killed and they were also injured. Okay, then what did Israel do? On April 1, 2024, Israel attacked Iranian consulate in Syria. Okay, why? Because as a part of axis of resistance, last issue we had seen that Hamas, Hezbollah and also Houthis, rebels from Yemen, all of these form a part of axis of resistance, and they are provided the political and military backing from Iran, right? So Israel goes forward and attacks Iranian consulate in Syria. Okay, what does Iran do? Iran responds with missiles on April 13, 2024 of this year, right? Then Israel responds on July 31, 2024 by killing the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. Okay, Israel kills Hamas leader, and then on September 27, 2024, Hassan Nasrallah, who is the leader of Hezbollah, this is again another militant group which is a part of axis of resistance, and it is being operated from Lebanon. Hassan Nasrallah is killed. Okay, these, if you notice, first attack on Iran, then on Hamas, then on Hezbollah. Okay, then October 1, Iran now responds by having a 200 ballistic missile attack. Okay, it is claimed that it created a limited damage. However, this was not taken very pleasantly by the Israeli government, of course, and therefore they have launched the retaliatory attack. Right? So this is the sequence of events of why this attack on Iran has taken place now. Now, to delve into further in depth with respect to why Israel is attacking Iran, we have to also understand these points. One is with respect to the proxy groups, that is the 3 H's, that is Hezbollah and Hamas, particularly these two. Houthis are mainly from Yemen. Okay, so the proxy groups, that is Iran, who is using these militant groups to attack Israel, okay, and therefore weaken the Israeli government. So Iran gets to be attacked by Israel in this kind of a setup, right? The second is the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's, who is the Prime Minister of Israel. His statement, he says that whoever hurts us, we will hurt them. Okay, and you would have seen a series of strikes, whether it is with respect to killing of leaders of important militant organizations, that is weakening their backbone in these proxy groups as well. Okay, whether it is with respect to exploding pages as well. Okay, they are leaving no stone unturned. Okay, they are also infiltrating the supply disruptions. Okay, all kind of supply disruptions are also taking place, and these are also being utilized to attain their objective. Okay, the Israeli Defense Forces have also said that Iran is going for wider regional conflict escalation. Okay, so this is the reason that they are hell bent on attacking Iran and attaining their objective of preserving their land, right? Then what is the outcome expected? The first thing is that though these attacks and retaliatory strikes can be said to be limited in the damage that they cause, however, there can be a direct confrontation and it can blow out into all-out war in the Middle East. Okay, the point of such, or the point of no return, may be this kind of an event, okay, or these kind of series of event. However, US has said that this was again a limited, precise and targeted strike. Okay, US has always supported Israel, and it has been a supporter of Israel from a very long time, and therefore they have supported here also Israel. They have said that this is a very precise target, and therefore there should be no retaliation that is expected from Iran. Iran should not retaliate in any form, and therefore Iran has also said, with respect to this statement, they have said they have right to defend themselves. In a separate statement, they have also said that the attacks by the retaliatory strikes by the Israeli forces were limited in their impact. Okay, and Iran has also said that it is not destroying the strategic assets. Only some have been impacted, and other missiles were intercepted. This means that Israel is just, this means that within the equation, Israel is trying to say that, okay, I am going to attack you, but this is not going to be a full-blown attack. You know what I am capable of. However, I am not going for a full retaliatory attack. Okay, you know the consequences of such kind of a move, that is going to be an all-out war. We do not want that. Okay, and so Iran has also said it recognizes its responsibilities to maintain the regional peace. Right? So these are some of the outcomes that are expected. Now, what is the impact of all of this with respect to India? Okay, whenever there is a conflict that happens in any part of the world, it is going to affect the other countries as well, and so it does with respect to India as well, right? So what is the problem? If we see, this is a silver lining. This is a cloud with a silver lining. Okay, so I have shown this diagram as a representative of the situation that we are presently in. Okay, so the dark clouds are one, that with respect to the West Asian crisis, there is a posed problem when we see about India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. This corridor was particularly rolled out in G20, and we wanted to bring about this route so that there are the trade difficulties with respect to Suez Canal is also eliminated through such a corridor. Okay, but with the rising tensions in the Middle East, this could be something that is threatened, right? Now there is another issue with respect to export of petroleum products. Now India is import heavy when it comes to importing crude oil. Okay, however, the refineries of India are the ones who export a lot of such petroleum products. Okay, because of such a crisis, there has been seen that there has been issues with respect to logistics as well, and there has been a downfall of nearly 38% in the exports of petroleum products by India, and the main reason for this is the dark cloud, that is the Middle East or the tensions in the West Asian part. Okay, the third thing is impact of Red Sea crisis. Okay, so there has been increase of the shipping timings that has been there within this zone, and because of the presence of militant groups like Houthis within this area, who have also been trying to choke the supplies which go towards Israel. So the countries are trying to avoid this route and go towards the Cape of Good Hope. They are trying to utilize this alternative trade route. This would increase the logistical cost and also increase the time that is required for us to export our products, right? So this would mean that our prices will go up, sale would go down, or export would go down. Okay, so these are the impact on India. However, as they say, there is a silver lining to every dark cloud. The silver lining comes in the form of our increased trade with the countries of GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. Okay, there has been increased trade, more than 10% increase has been there in the present year of 2023. Another thing is exports with respect to Iran. Like, we have increased our exports with respect to Iran, and that has also increased by 10%, because most of the countries in the Arab world won't want to be a part of this conflict. Okay, they do not want to be drawn with respect to their resources and money and time with Iran, right? So therefore, India, which has remained a stance which is neutral, they have gone forward and exported their products to Iran. So this has increased the exports towards these countries, right? So this is the silver lining within this West Asian crisis. Now Israel has now banned the United Nations chief Antonio Guterres to step on the Israel soil. Okay, they have said that UN chief is not someone who has expressed his serious condemnation of Iranian attacks on Israel, and therefore he has no right to step on the Israel soil or think about Israeli interests as well. Okay, so let us delve into this issue further. So what has happened? So in the previous issue, I had told you about that timeline. So in April 2024, when Iran had attacked Israel, so Israeli foreign minister has said that after this attack, the UN chief did not come forward and say that Iran should stop these kind of attacks. The statement issued by Antonio Guterres, who is the UN chief, was something that did not name a particular country. He condemned the attack, he condemned the kind of conflict that Middle East is going through. However, he did not single out any country. He did not name either Iran or Israel. Okay, and this was taken very seriously by the Israeli foreign minister. Okay, so he said that he did not unequivocally condemn the attacks by Iran, and for this he would, that is the UN chief, would be a stain on history of the United Nations. Okay, so this was the statement issued by the foreign minister, and also as a reason that he should not step on Israel soil. Okay, the allegations were this: no statement against Iran. The second thing was the UN peacekeeping force for the Palestine people, that goes by the mnemonic UNRWA. Okay, so Israel has said, these are allegations of course, and there are some videos floating in the social media as well that have said that UNRWA or these peacekeeping forces are also helping Palestinian people, and this has led to a very huge security threat for Israel. Okay, that is why they also do not want to engage with United Nations any further. Okay, hearing this, emergency session for UNSC was also called for, and in which the UN chief Antonio Guterres had said, okay, I condemn these kind of attacks, and he said that it should have been obvious from my statements, but I am also naming the countries that they should refrain from having such a conflict within this region. Okay, so this emergency session was also held, but still the Israel government did not pay heed to it. Okay, now the members of United Nations are governed by the UN Charter, and within this there is Article 100, and in it in this Article 100 there is paragraph 2, which says that the countries would respect the UN officials and UN chief, that is UN Secretary General. He should be provided with enough independence so that such kind of influence should not be drawn out of him. Okay, so this is the statement of Article 100 para 2. This is just in the context that whether a country can influence the statements of the United Nations Secretary General or not. Okay, looking for similar actions, it has happened in 1950 with respect to USSR, again happened with US in 1987. Okay, what is India's stand on this? So there was again this emergency session at United Nations Security Council for which there was a letter which was to be signed in condemnation of such kind of a ban that was placed on the UN chief. India was not one of the countries that signed such a letter. That is, it did not condemn that Israel was banning the UN chief. Okay, so this is the Indian stance on this issue.